I'm afraid you're going to see the situation get worse next year, because this is when a lot of the cuts are going to come in, and it is going to affect a lot of people. And people, I saw an opinion poll where 75% of people agree with David Cameron, what he was saying about benefit and about people who are on benefit. And I thought to myself, hang on a minute, I don't know the exact figure, but there's several million people who are in receipt of child benefit. Are we saying that they're all scoundrels as well? Because I think the people who receive that would have said, yes, George Osborne and David Cameron's right, but in actual fact they're in receipt of some benefits. And then the old tax credit system as well, where I've got constituents with the changes in that, where they're losing nearly £3,000 a year. Bob Diamond from Barclays Bank will probably spend that much on a lunch or a night out. So, these are big things. And again, if you look at the tax credit system, what actually that does, and we brought it in to help people, basically. But at the end of the day, what it does, it subsidises the employers. And so does housing benefit. Because housing benefit goes to the majority of the people who receive it. Well, not majority, but a lot of the people who receive it are in work, but they're on low incomes. So we're actually subsidising the wages, the taxpayer, all the time. And I think you need to step back from it and take an overview of everything that's happening in the welfare system at the moment. Because, it's just wrong to be divisive about it. And my personal view is what the government is doing with saying we've got to cut the deficit, which of course we do have to do that. They're using that as camouflage to cut back the benefit system in the public sector as best we can, as much as they can. So if we form a government in 2015, we won't have any money. We won't be able to bring, to reverse a lot of these changes. So what they've devised is something called the Big Society. I don't know if you've heard the government talk about this. Well, and what they're wanting people now is to fend for themselves more than they ever did before. And I always use the best example of the Big Society is what the coal miners did in County Durham, where they set up benefit systems, they provided housing for retired miners. They set up a union, they changed legislation, they brought in mining acts to make sure that when they worked underground, everything was improved. And that was Big Society, but it was only ever going to partially work, because what you need to make a real Big Society work is a government that's there to enable it to happen. And I always use the example of, like, in the 1930s, the Save the Children, which was a charity even then, but did a lot of work in the UK, but they still do. New Bransmouth, they opened a nursery. And it was a prototype shower start. It was one of the first shower starts. And they had a network of them around the country. There wasn't very many. And it was run by charity. And they were very successful, and they did great work in Bransmouth and the surrounding area. But if you want every child to have a chance, it takes a government to roll out a programme of 3,500 shower starts. Charity's not going to be able to do that. And what the government's doing is cutting back on everything so that charity is going to be left with having to pick up the reins. Where in actual fact, the budgets that are going to charities are being cut left, right and centre as well, even though they've set up the Big Society Bank, which was something, it was our legislation, we brought in towards the end of our tenure in government, and they actually introduced it, but it was our idea, but they get the benefit of it. So what we heading towards is what I call the politics of solutions, which is I can continue blaming the government, and the government's going to blame the county council. But what about that man or that woman who can't get to work because the bus isn't running? What I think we need to be looking at now is, again, looking after ourselves. It's what we've been good at in County Durham over the years. So we've got to look at, one of the problems I've got at the moment is in Darlington Borough, because I covered all the villages in Darlington, such as Erwith and Sadburge and Middleton St George, and Bishop and places like that, and Hyton. And we're looking to the county council. We're going to ask businesses and some charities and parish councils to put some money in the pot to keep the buses running. And that's what we're going to have to do more of. And I know a lot of sort of people have come to me and say, well, you know what the county council's done now? You know what Living's done now? You know, cutting this and cutting that. And I'm saying, well, look, I'm sorry, I don't think the county council wants to do that, but they're now in the position of having to find £175 million, and they're having to make cuts in ways that they've never had to do before. And the Local Government Association brought out a report this week that said by 2020, there'll be that little money around in local government that there'll be no libraries that they can run, no bus services that they can run because there'll be no subsidy, and all the leisure centres. I mean, the county council's had to close some already in Ferry Hill, for example, in my patch. You don't know whether they're going to be able to run them either. What they're going to come down to is the core responsibilities, and that's adult and social care. And the social care budget has been cut. And what the Labour Party was wanting to do before the election is get some cross-party agreement about how we do social care in the future, for elderly people especially, because it's costing a fortune. And it's such a big issue that you need cross-party support to do it. And I'm afraid the opposition at the time wasn't prepared to play a ball, although we back in negotiations with them. So, you know, there's a lot going on and a lot of people that are affected by this. And as always, my door's open to anybody, any constituent who's got a problem. If I can help you, I will. If I can't, I'm sorry, but I haven't got all the answers and I've got very few resources. But the door's always there for you to come through to see me. And I know colleagues from Durham County Council that are here will be able to go into more details. And I hope I haven't covered some of the ground that you were going to cover as well, about the benefits and about what they're doing to try and ameliorate the problems that we have around this. And it's such a big issue, because if you think it's bad this year, 2013 is going to be the key year for when all these benefit changes kick in. So I'd just like to finish there. I hope I haven't depressed you too much. But it's the state of, it's where we are at the moment. And so, you know, if you've got any questions, I'll try my best to answer them, and we'll just leave it there.
Well, thank you very much, Phil. I'm sure there must be some questions.